What's up, good people? It's your man's Jay Free, coming back at you again. Um, trying, like I said before, for those that do pay attention and listen, trying to come back at you as often as possible. Um, um, you know, Addressing all of the issues that we got going on in our community, just giving my 2 cents again, my opinion. I believe that there's a lot of things that need to be discussed. Um, we are in a psychological warfare. For those that are unaware, most people are not conscious of it, and most people don't understand the rules of engagement, so to say, because it's psychological warfare. So it's the effects oftentimes appear in the physical, but the implementation of the plans are done in the psychological, um, through symbolism, media, and so on and so forth. So when we began the process, we talking about the issues in our community, and there's so many issues to go over and so many to discuss, man. um I've been trying to figure out the best way. um I've been trying to figure out the best way to address these issues, um because the problem that I'm finding is, it seems like no matter what we say, no matter how much knowledge we try to push, that people still want to refuse it. So I'm trying to figure out a way to present the knowledge, or just to spark a question in the mind, because you know the first step to recovery is to admit that you have a problem. And so just throwing knowledge down people's throats that have no idea, that there's a problem in the first place, this is why they're refusing it. When you got an alcoholic or a drug addict, you know what I'm saying, if you steady telling them they need help, but they don't see that they need help, then all your efforts really, they go in vain, because until a person can realize and acknowledge that I need help, then you can begin the process of helping them. And so this is where we at as a community, is so many people are lost in the shuffle, and so many are blind to what's actually going on, that we trying to drop knowledge. And for those of us that are aware, we say, man, can't you see, why ain't you looking? And they looking back at us saying, man, I ain't got no problem, I'm cool where I'm at. You see what I mean? And so um trying to come from a different approach. But also, when you're dealing with the drug addict or the alcoholic, the substance abuser, the in the steps of recovery, you can't heal the person by trying to make them stop using the drugs or abusing the alcohol. You have to find out the root problem as to why they damaging themselves. Why is the reason why they want to use drugs and hurt themselves? Why they want to use alcohol to the point of self-destruction? So you have to get to the root of the problem in order to help them to get comfortable with self, so that then they can, they'll remove whatever the substance is that's abusing them, because they'll now have inner peace. And so this is what we're dealing with. We're talking about knowledge of self. And so the problems that we see going on in our community, again, most people don't see where there's a problem, but then that there has to be an acknowledgement of the problem. But we that are aware and are trying to help bring solutions, we got to go to the root. We can't go to the surface. We can't say, hey, you got to stop drinking, you know what I'm saying, and stop smoking crack. We got to figure out the root. And so we can't just keep going around saying, hey, Black lives matter, but we got to stop black on black crime. No, Black lives matter because we talking about the root issue. You see what I'm saying? The black on black crime is a result of the same system that causes the police brutality, as well as all the other crime that's going on, and all of the other unequal injustices that are going on against our people, only in our community. It all comes from the same root. So it's not, like I said the other day, when you talk about the black on black crime, what is that? Black on black crime means nothing. That's just a media word, a media propaganda to try to help push their own agenda, to make you focus on something that's really irrelevant, because it's white on white crime, it's Asian on Asian crime. Most crime within the community is committed amongst those within the community. So most crime is committed amongst the individuals that are alike. So in the white communities, it's white on white crime. You know what I'm saying? And in our communities, it's black on black. This just seems to be, the area that they want to highlight. Yes, there's a high murder rate in the ghetto. Yes, there's a high murder rate between gang violence and drug violence that happens in the urban and Black and Latino communities. You know what I'm saying? The minority communities, as we would say. Yes, it is outrageous. However, the reason that it's outrageous is because of the system that we up against, racism, white supremacy. But people fail to understand and acknowledge that there is a system at play. And so the rules of engagement we unaware of. You see what I'm saying? We fighting a war psychological and completely unaware. So every time we focusing on money, every time we think money is the root answer, and this is our only motivation, then we fail in ourselves as well as our future in our community. See, we making decisions, and we making decisions based off of monetary gain. And so we not aware, of what's going on. This is where I talked about when I said that there's different levels. There are those that are unaware that there's even an issue going on. They saying, what you talking about? I ain't got no problem. And that's because where they are in life gives them an appearance of I guess comfortability without looking at the overall picture. And so what happens is as an individual, when you accomplish what appears to be a level of success within the system, what I mean is when you get your house and your car and you got a couple bucks in the bank, you know what I'm saying? Now you have somewhat sustainability and comfortability. And so when you begin to look back at the others that are still left back, now you begin to say, man, you crying, you making excuses, man. You can do what I did. I came out, I made it out. It was hard for me just like it was for you. So you can make it out too. And in an appearance, you know what I'm saying? In a way, those statements are correct. But the truth is, not everyone has the mental capacity to overcome the obstacles. You know what I'm saying? And secondly, some of us don't wake up until too late in the game to where we've already made mistakes, to where we're not allowed, certain privileges as well. Be it we've, calculated a felony record on us. We got a record on our file. Be it, we failed to understand the importance of education coming up, and so we stumbled and struggled through school to where we don't really have an educational background, so it's difficult the type of jobs we can possess. All of the things that are a result of the system, those that grew up, in very impoverished situations where, there was no money at all, and so you grew up, hustling and struggling, and the mentality and mind state is I gotta get it no matter what, no matter who in my way. I mean, all of the symptoms that result in the hood or the ghetto and community environment that are a result of systematic oppression, that are a result of the racism, white supremacy. And so we have to understand the root of the problem as we trying to fix it. And so, like Christianity, religion, we hit on religion so much, I probably will never stop talking about it. And the reason being is because this is the greatest stronghold that's over our people. See, it's a psychological warfare. And so we dealing with the mind. The mind functions on different levels. You got conscious, you got subconscious, you got unconscious. So you got different levels of the mind. Some things you do with a full, complete awareness of what you're doing. Then there are things that you do that you subconscious. That means that you're aware that you're doing them, and you think you know why you're doing them, but you don't really know why you're doing them. Then there's the unconscious. That's the area where you performing actions and you have a thought process and a perspective that you don't even know why you have. You see what I'm saying? This is why, this is where racism, white supremacy have taught white people to hate other people, because it's unconsciously giving them a perspective that they are privileged and that they are better because they are of the lighter complexity white, and that everyone else is beneath them because they're not. And that same psychological unconscious reasoning travels through the mind of every individual. This is why light-skinned people feel a little better, dark-skinned people feel a little, all of this. This is why Latinos do their best to try to separate themselves from the blacks. This is why an African would try to make sure that he's African and not African American, and so on and so forth. There's all that, and it's all unconscious. We do it without even being aware as to why we doing it, because it's psychological warfare. So when you're talking about religion and the perspective that it forces on the mind, the thought process that it gives, this is our greatest hindrance. This is our number. For one, it creates separation between you and the Creator, you and God. I'm gonna use a little biblical terms because I'm hoping that I'm speaking to those that are of this persuasion. So you will go back and do some research, or that something can be sparked. But the Bible talks about, it says that God is spirit. And it says that they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Now the two words, spirit and truth. Now I ain't gonna go through and breaking down breaking down all of the the Hebrew and the Greek, because we're gonna use common sense. This is what I like to do. I don't like to try to be deep. I'm not we not out here warring about words. I don't like to debate with people. We can get as ingenious as we want. We can use big words, but I'm a simple person and I'm speaking to simple people, so I don't need to use big words. We need to come to an understanding. But spirit and truth. So God is spirit. Now you can use the term however you choose for religious folk, but for me, I understand God as being energy. You know what I'm saying? Source, power. You see what I'm saying? And so this is why I know that God exists, because energy. I am energy. Energy in the same creation. We're not gonna get into that. But so God is spirit, and you that worship him must worship him in spirit, in spirit, with your energy, in spirit and in truth, with a full comprehensive understanding of the aura of the spirit. See what I'm saying? Now, what the religion has done, in every essence, it has put a wedge between you and the spirit, between you and God, between you and it has put a wedge. Jesus is a wedge. You never needed a mediator. Even if you were within the lie that they created, even Jesus himself continued to teach that you have, in order to find the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, or the power that is available to you, he continued to teach that you would have to search within, that you would have to know thyself. And that's all that we're sharing, is that you have to have a knowledge of self. When you begin the process of knowledge of self, then you begin to understand and awaken the third eye. You begin to come to an understanding of spirit and of truth. And when you come to this understanding, religion can no longer exist. Jesus, in the form in which you were taught him, can no longer exist. For most people, God is literally a man sitting in the sky on the throne. Now, you may not admit this. You may feel like you think that that's not what he is, but unconsciously, the image has been embedded within you that you really look at God as a man. You have no understanding of God as spirit, and therefore you cannot worship in truth because you don't even know who he is. Remember, in this particular text, for those religious folk, Jesus was talking to the woman at the well at this particular instance, and he was telling her, y'all don't even know what y'all worshiping. You ain't even from the right group to understand what it is that and this is what we talking about in an essence. And so I'm rambling, man. I usually like to write down and have notes so I can keep in order, because it's such I get sidetracked and get to going to different places. But I'm just trying to continue to come back at y'all, and I'm trying to not miss too often at sharing information and keeping those that would be interested into listening. I will be coming with some stuff we'll be teaching, and we'll be breaking down scriptures and texts and giving references and things to where you don't just have to go off my word. But all I'm doing now, man, is just trying to spark an interest that will make you think for a moment. Just think. You must worship in spirit and in truth. You see what I'm saying? And the perspective, as I was on, that religion gives us in the psychological warfare, it makes us complacent. It conditions us, and it programs us to accept all of this abuse that's going on. So as we talked about a root problem in the black community, in the minority community, we talked about the root problem being the system. a system that is in play to keep us down. And the reason we remain stagnant and don't oppose the system is because the religious ideology and concepts that have been embedded into our unconscious and subconscious mind. So without us being aware, you know what I'm saying, we will not resist nor stand up nor fight, because this was the intention of why they gave it to us in the first place. See, slaves, be obedient to your masters. You know what I'm saying? Be good to those who mistreat you. You know, give honor to them. You know what I'm saying? Your reward will come later in heaven. You will be rewarded. And, you know, all of the things that the religion has conditioned us to accept. You see what I'm saying? But when you begin to have a knowledge of self, you can look at, say, the persona or the idea, the concept of Jesus that they tried to create, and you can look at the persona and you can see that he always opposed the system. His whole aim was to annihilate their structure of religiosity. Jesus hated religion. Every place you find him, Jesus, why you sitting over there eating with them? Man, that's who I came for. Jesus, why you healing on the Sabbath? What, y'all don't even understand the purpose of power and healing and you know, constantly. Jesus was against the system, walking through the temple, flipping over the money changers' tables and calling you whitewashed tombs full of dead men's bones. You have made my father's house a whorehouse. You know what I'm saying? I'm paraphrasing, but for those that understand. So we have to begin to dig in and begin to ask the proper questions and understand the truth of what's going on. The book itself tells you that God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. The church is the most confusing place alive. There are over 900 different doctrines within the same religious community that all stem from one book. You can't be more confused than that. But I can open this same book and I can show you unicorns. I can show you contradictions within the wording itself. But even deeper, like I said, just think about the concepts that they've given us, the lies that they've fed us. So you mean to tell me that the Tower of Babel, as they began to build the tower to reach up to God, that God, who is a spirit, first off, who is supposed to be, as you know, omnipotent or spirit, which means he's intangible. We can't, you know, physically touch or feel him. So I'm trying to figure out what God would have been afraid of these people building the tower for, why he would have had to make the statement, together these people can accomplish anything. You know what I'm saying? And so the book goes on to say that he dispersed the people and spread them out over the land, and he gave them different tongues. Now, why would God see the people coming together as one, building the tower just to reach him in heaven, and he would be afraid? I don't understand what he would be afraid of, but why would he see them together as one, building this tower, and make a statement that together they can accomplish everything? And then he dispersed them, though, and spread them out, only to instill a law that says, I will send my son until you all come into knowledge of truth, into a oneness of the likeness, so that you can all come together. Why would God disperse us as we were together, only to make life hell in the attempt to try to come together? I mean, because it's just be stupid to me, man. It's all in here, man, when you begin to really think on it. Like I say, we need to get Dr. Ben. It's a 3-part series. This is just one of them. I got the other books, but it's a 3-part series. The Need for a Black Bible, Dr. Ben. People really need to get this book. It was a point in here, something in here I think I was reading, and I just had to ask this question before I go. I just wanted to ask. This is in Dr. Ben's book. This is because, you know, but anyway, it says it brings us to the character of the creator. We beg to observe again. We describe not the actual creator, but the popular idea of the creator. It is said that the creator is omnipotent and also that he is benevolent. But one proposition contradicts the other. Again, either sin entered the world against the will of the Creator, in which case he is not omnipotent, or it entered in with his permission, in which case it is his agent, in which case he selects sin, in which case he has a preference for sin, in which case he is fond of sin, in which case he is sinful. It is certain that the feelings of the created have in no way been considered. If indeed there were a judgment day, it would be for man to appear at the bar not as a criminal, but as an accuser. What has he done that he should be subjected to the life of torture and temptation? Question. God might have made us all happy, but he made us all miserable. Is that benevolence? God might have made us all pure, but instead he has made us all sinful. Is that the perfection of morality? If I believed in the existence of this man-created God, you see what I'm saying? I mean, I could go on, but these are simple questions that we must ask when we begin to truly understand, man. Again, it's your man's Jay Free. I rambled. I know I've been over the place. This is just my effort to make sure that I'm continuing to keep fresh and continue to come at y'all. Like I say, again, sparking interest, think, talk about it. We got some more stuff to talk about. It's your man's Jay Free, man. Y'all know I love y'all. Just trying to spread truth, hoping to wake the masses, man. Peace and blessings. One to y'all. Love.